What's going on, traders? How we doing out there? Who's ready to talk all about new cars, used cars, ELON, Tesla? Let's get after it. Let's talk about at the close. Of course, we'll take a look into the market, see what was moving today. But I know that I saw was catching almost every single tweet that I saw out there. It was all about Tesla. Let's get into it at the close.
All right, it is time for pre-market prep at the close.
Three consecutive highs, opened, matched yesterday's low, and then once it took out there, that's all the breakout momentum traders needed.
All right, team, how we doing out there? It's good to see you guys joining in, and I do want to open up the room for you guys. A lot of the times we have, guests, we have hosts. I was actually going to have a co-host that couldn't join me today, and I'm feeling a little bit more conversation today. I feel like talking about Tesla, and it's kind of hard to have a conversation if no one joins me, right? Well, I'll do this. We don't do this often, but I'm willing to do it today. Joel and I here. I'm gonna go a little bit more on the edge. I'm willing to invite anybody that wants to come on in the chat. Is there anybody that wants to come on and talk about ELON, Tesla, used cars, new car, or anything in the automotive industry? I'm going to go ahead and put that out there. If you do want to join, just say it in the chat, and I'll go ahead and I'll throw up a link that you can join in. All right, let's get right towards the action. Let's take a look at the SPY first. Let's go towards that and take a look at the action today. As we were getting a little bit of a bounce, we're back up there towards 383.64. Let's go to the 15-minute. As we saw, we got a nice little boost here from the numbers that came out today. Of course, what was the number that helped? The continuous jobless claims, right? That definitely helped get a little bit of a lift there. SPY went up there towards 384.24. Actually, I got a high here of 384.35. Now starting to go sideways here. I think we're starting to top out, right? We're kind of in this hourly range. You guys can see it here on the 4-hour chart. How we've just been kind of stuck sideways here. Are we going to go back up for 390 or 400? Or are we going to take right back down there towards the 377 level? Of course, now I see 1, 2, 3 times trying to go through that 377 level. If we come back through that level, I would expect a breakthrough on the downside. Or if we start coming back up through 387, I would be looking for a resistance touch, a little bit of a pullback, and then the breakout, not just a clean sweep, because it could just be a kind of a little bit of a trick here back towards the 387. That would create the third resistance. Why would I look for a little bit of a pullback? Because we would look for the fourth resistance try to really be that breakout. We'll have to wait and see what happened. And one of the clear examples that we got back in here was on this fourth attempt to break out through the 410, right? We got one attempt to break through the 400s, the second attempt. The third attempt actually got through there. It pulled back all the way to the support, tried to really build up the volume that it needed to break through that 410, got up there to the 410 on the fourth try, rejection. So we'll look for here to see if we get a third rejection, or do we get a takedown right back towards 377? Let's talk about what was moving today. We can see that technology definitely led from the open, up about 3.2%, 2.38 from the open. We'll see what happens in healthcare. Consumer cyclical having a good day there. Healthcare definitely still my favorite sector for next year. I know Dennis is looking for some of these value names to come off and some of the growth names to come up. But I think that's just very short-lived mentality in the long run. In the long run, healthcare overall, I think, is going to be the best sector potentially for next year. It's definitely on my top sectors to watch in 23. Healthcare materials are starting to surely be showing up there also. Steel getting a little bit of a bounce back today. We'll see what happens on these. NUE's not making me feel too confident on steel, but then we could take a look there. Coal finally getting a little bit of a bounce back, but I'm not feeling too confident either about materials moving forward. So these are areas that I'm starting to see weakness in basic materials. I'm starting to see weakness in the utilities, finally starting to weaken up here. It bounced, now starting to come right back down. We got to be careful there with utilities as we keep getting higher interest rates. Those should get hit. All right. Financial services, not having a bad day there. JPM, we talked about it this morning. Will the banks have a good day? Well, look at JPM's daily candle. It's trying to close towards the top of the range. That's not a bad outlook there. We'll see if this can continue making a move. Talked about it. Would Bank of America get a little bit of a lift today? Look at that nice little push. That's why I was looking at the banks this morning. Wasn't a bad day there in the financials. All right, catching up with the chat. What's going on out there? How we doing? Corey in the house. What's up, Spiel? Mo Hillionaire. What's going on? The bank's turning against him. Yeah, they want to get Elon out. I don't trust it, Mitch, says SRT8. I know I can't blame you for that one. Jay, never buy a new auto EV, down 20% day one. Ooh, let's talk about that. Change Agent talking about lithium. We'll get into some of that. Let me start going into our Elon segment of the day. We'll get back to the stock action and focusing on stock action. I'll try to run through this here. Looks like no one wanted to join and talk conversation. So you're just going to hear a little bit of me today. But hey, it is what it is. I don't have my man Joel Elconin to bounce off of. But let's get into the action. I actually have a report for you that I want to take a look into. And so I'm going to go ahead and bring that up here. And so this is going to be from Experian. And of course, they cover multi areas. They cover credit. They cover, of course, all the different areas. It's the only one that can cover all three of the different like major reporting, right? So it covers the market, credit, people, and vehicles. There's not many times where this is going to be able to cover that. So this is from their report. You guys can go ahead and take a look at this. This was released in December. So if you guys want to take a look at this, this is for auto trends released from Experian. I'll go ahead and throw up that link where I got this information, right? So let's go first to page 22. Page 22 is going to talk about new used car registrations through the third quarter, right? And so let me zoom back a little bit here so we don't get too close up. But let's talk about what do we see here, right? And what is this really showing us? Well, the biggest thing that I think we need to focus is what are the trends, right? What are the trends telling us in EVs? All right, so let's get into it. First up, new used vehicle registrations, right? Through the third quarter. So let's talk about some of these trends. So we're seeing low vehicle inventories and inflation causing lower new registrations in 22. So this is the first thing that we're going to do. We're just talk about it overall, the auto industry. Right now, what are we seeing? Well, we're seeing lower new registrations. So new cars are actually coming down. That means they're not buying as many new cars. And if you heard from a lot of even like our Cox automotive analysts, it's not because the new car supply isn't there. Now it's starting to come back, but they just don't want to buy it. Why is this? I think, of course, because of the high interest rates that are starting to come in. But also, when we talk about the used registrations, they're also down. So overall, new registrations down 16.4%. Used registrations down 12.6%. It doesn't show strength there in the third quarter here for new and used vehicles. Now, let's keep going. We could talk a little bit more about market share, right? And when we get into that, we can see here that new market share by manufacturer, GM actually continues to lead for the second quarter in a row. GM actually, flip-flopping with Toyota here. They're leading here. Of course, this is from the manufacturers, but we can keep going down, right? We can keep moving in here. You can see here, new vehicle make rank shares from the third quarter. Toyota still leading here. Tesla showing up, but down there towards the 12th ranking here on the top 15 brands. Now, Tesla still leading over BMW and Mercedes-Benz. So that's something that you guys can keep in mind, right? If you guys can see there, BMW is down there, Mercedes-Benz is down there, Tesla, at least a little bit over them. Now, when we get into the top 20 makes here, this is interesting. When we talk about the top makes, you can see Toyota has 5 of the top 9 models out there in the third quarter. That shows me more and more that Toyota still in the lead, still a beast there and killing it. Now you do see some Teslas coming in here. Tesla Model Y, Tesla Model 3, right? But what do you see? A whole lot of Ford and Chevys on top of that Tesla. That shows me that still the legacy automakers are still getting market share, right? Now let's start diving a little bit deeper into Tesla. As we get a little bit deeper, we'll go towards EV and figuring out on that end what's going on there, right? So let's get into that. That's when we get into the vehicle analysis of this presentation. And then you start seeing here what's going on here, right? New registrations. Well, it looks like electric vehicles are still only 5.6% of the vehicles that are for the new registration. What does that show me? That there isn't this crazy move to EV that everybody expects to immediately happen. It's very, very slow. If this number was closer towards, let's say, 20%, 30%, 40% of the vehicles, then I would be feeling a lot more confident about electric vehicles moving forward. But when we see here, and we only see that 7.4% of cars right now, electric plug-ins, gas, and gas hybrids here, that's not much. Even if you add the hybrids with the electric, that's only about what, 13% of the vehicles? I still think that's not going to be enough to truly get what everyone expects from these EVs. Now let's move a little bit closer towards understanding more of Tesla, right? So Tesla is still leading new competitors, but we're talking about EVs here. They're slowly getting that market share chipping away. Now, of course, what are some comments, right? Well, the questions that we need to be asking ourselves from Tesla. Will it remain the best of breed in electric vehicles? Will it expand and lead on market share on the rest of competitors? Will Tesla's Semi be a success? And will the Cybertruck be a success? And will Elon finally step down from Twitter, right? Well, we could think about it here. When we're looking at the 65%, you can see in 2020, they had 79.4%. Where is the direction of the trend going? It's going in the wrong direction. It shouldn't be getting a bigger pie, right? Smaller share of a much bigger pie is going to be the battle here. But if you think about it, what has everybody said is that Tesla would remain in the lead here, right? Leading and chipping away. But if Ford is starting to come back here and they just started coming out with some, new EVs, especially the Lightning, I think will have some great success. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But then you look back and you can see how the other vehicle makers are also stepping up. Just on this, Kia was 1.8, now 4.6. What makes you guys feel that Tesla is going to have that much more revenue coming their way? Well, the truth is, I don't see it. I don't see it that fast moving into EVs. And the truth is, the expense for these vehicles is really high. EVs are not cheap. Let's just be honest. Overall, I think they're going to be running into a tougher 23 than most imagine, because let's just be honest also. I don't expect to see the Fed pivoting on the interest rates in 23. And even if they do so, how much will they pivot? It won't be too much. So in this case, high interest rates, high vehicle price, I don't think they're going to have a great 23 overall for all EVs. I'm not just talking Tesla here. All right, so let's get into some other questions, of course. As we keep pushing into there, Tesla's continuing to dominate, but moving down, right? And I think that this is something that we all need to keep in mind. Now, when we talk a little bit more about Elon, one of the things that is definitely starting to become a focus, and I'm not bringing this up from my own thing, I'm just bringing this up from a Forbes article, is that a recent Pew Research poll showed that Democrats are 2.5 times as likely as Republicans to consider purchasing an EV. Consider for the fact that in California, more than a third of all new EVs come from California. Now, when we compare that to like Texas or Florida, that's only 7.4% for Florida and 6.4% for Texas. So, not trying to make this political, but as we know, Elon right now has been making comments, right, on Twitter. Say what you want to say about the comments. It is definitely political, a lot of what he's bringing in right now in Twitter. And that's having a negative effect. A lot of people, and you guys heard it on PreMarket Prep, multiple people from our PreMarket Prep team said that their wives were like, no, we're not dealing with Elon anymore, and we're not going to buy a Tesla at all. We don't even want the stock, right? Well, in my mentality here, let's just think about that, right? And let's look at the US map and think about that in that outlook, right? Well, they did this perfectly for us here on this Experian outlook. And you can see a lot of EVs are purchased in California. When we look at red states, not so much. So is Elon's move to really push on the political side, and it seems like he's either pushing on independent or Republican side, is that going to help Tesla or hurt it? In this case, it seems like if the majority of Democrats are more likely to buy EVs than Republicans, which side would you want to fall on if you were a CEO of an EV? Well, in my eyes, I think overall, you would probably want to fall on the Democrat side because those are the people that are buying the EVs. It's not majority of the Republicans that are buying the EVs. So I think in this case, this is probably way bigger of a negative effect for Tesla in 2023 than even Elon probably realizes right now. And I think that that's what's going on with Tesla. Of course, there's a couple of other questions that are going to be very important. Like I've mentioned, we just answered more and more about best of breed and EV market share. Now, the big questions for me are the drivers, right, of growth. What will happen to the Tesla semi-truck? What will happen to the Cybertruck? Will these two growth drivers be success? Because really, that's how I think Tesla stays on top. If they're able to nail the Tesla Semi, well, that keeps them in a little bit higher. If they're able to nail the Cybertruck and actually start beating, let's say, the Ford Lightning, that would be truly interesting in 2023. Of course, we'll see what happens. Will Elon step down from Twitter as CEO? This is what I do expect early into 23. But how long will it be? And what will Tesla's price be at that moment? That's what we need to ask ourselves. All right, getting out of the Elon talk. You guys in the chat, let me know what you guys think. Put a 1 if you're bullish Tesla into 23. Put a 2 if you're bearish Tesla 23. And put a 3 if you don't care about Tesla or Elon. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Let's go ahead. I hope that you guys enjoyed us going through that. I just wanted to get the outlook, right? And bring in information, right? And I think that that's important to do also. Whenever we're having these situations, we need to be thinking, right? We need to go to the statistical data. What is that showing us? Well, clearly there's a couple of things that it's showing us is that Tesla is losing the market share. But of course, the pie is getting bigger. I do agree with that. But what are we seeing? We're seeing lower new cars registration, lower used car registration. Is next year going to be the best for vehicles? All right, let's see what the chat thinks here. There's a lot of voting going on here. There's some 1s, some 2s, and even some 3s going there. But it looks like I'm seeing majority of, I see a lot of 3s. And that surprises me because there's so many people that were talking Tesla today. So you guys that putting 3, sorry for getting all Elon on you today, but I just wanted your feedback. So I appreciate you guys throwing up your 3. But we'll see what happens there. Elon is the owner. Doesn't matter if he steps down from a formal row. Yeah, I agree with that outlook. That's not a bad outlook there. Hit the like button. Definitely. My 2 cents is 2. Ooh, I'll tell you what. It seems like we might actually have more 1s than 2s. So there is some bulls out there. can't blame you guys for being bullish either. I mean, at the end of the day, Elon has not really failed on any of these companies. The truth is, he's just been getting hit and not being in favor right now. All right, we'll see what else is going on. I want a high test-powered, gas-powered stick shift 911 turbo. JRP, you and me both, brother. Trust me. There ain't no way I'm getting an EV 911. No. We like them turbos. All right, let's get out of that talk. Let's get back towards the market. If you guys got a big stock that's on your radar, we can talk about it. Looks like someone's bringing in Disney. Let's take a look how Disney did on the day today. Disney, a little bit of a bounce back, right? It seems to me like this is just bouncing back to resistance. You guys can clearly see this probably on the hourly charts right here. Nice clear resistance right above. Now, the only question will be, can we clear that level and actually close up there? Multiple times to touch this. This is the third touch. We'll see if we get back up through that 88. If it doesn't and cuts down through, let's say that 4 p.m. low, that 84.07, I'd be a little bit careful because you're looking at the next leg down on Disney. All right, let's get into Love, right? Southwest Airlines. Who's going on Southwest Airlines? Oh, man. Let me know in the chat if you planned on going on Southwest Airlines and are now really seriously reconsidering it. Throw up a 1 in the chat if you're reconsidering Love or Southwest Airlines. All right, let's talk about it. Definitely canceling some more flights today. It looks like there was 3,500, another 2,300 flights canceled today. And it's not been looking good there. Southwest has just been getting hit and hit. It bounced back today. It actually got some lift off today. As you can see, stocks that were beaten down, definitely getting a little bit of a bounce today, like ARKK. Dennis, you might have been perfectly right on the day. The question, will it last? Will we get a day 2 type of move? Shop, Square, Zoom, Roblox, we talked about this morning, getting some lift. Twilio, Unity getting some push. We talked about that this morning. Would this be the type of stock to get the lift? Definitely getting a little bit of a push up. Now the only question is, can it hold? You guys can see there was a lot into the green today. It wasn't just one area. It was a lot of stocks. And so overall, a nice little rally today. Now the question will be, can we get a day 2 move going into the weekend? Last day of the year tomorrow. We'll have to wait and find out what happens. All right, catching up with the chat. NVIDIA on the 1 hour shows another dump coming. Let's go. Let's take a look at it. NVIDIA, not bad. Little bounce back today. Got back through the 145. Could see this acting as a little bit of resistance once we get up there towards the 148 or 149 area. We'll see if we get back towards that. Definitely got a little bit of a bounce back on the day. Now the only question is this just a little bounce, or are we actually going to get more into a rally type of mode? In my mentality, I think this is just kind of solid seller's exhaustion. NVIDIA was going down significantly for like, it was now like what? Only about one green day in the last 9 trading days. That's just, to me, seller's exhaustion, bouncing back. We'll have to look for a day 2 move to look to see if we can keep pushing back. All right, catching up out there. Put call ratio, mentioned it at this morning. Everyone leaning bearish. Yeah, the put's definitely higher. We actually talked about that yesterday on Stock Market Movers, that we were seeing that. And that is going to cause some dead cat bounce, right? Whenever you have people leaning towards the bear side, a lot of the times they get caught. We'll have to wait and see. All right, let's go towards Apple. Apple got a little bit of a bounce back. Can it recover and hold above 129? That was the level that we saw break down, and it was an important level, right? It was from June. It was all the way from June's price point. Now will we come right back down and reject it? Tomorrow will give us a lot. If this gets back towards the 136, well, then we didn't reject it, and we're right back up. But if we do get right back below 129, I'll be looking for that to take out the lows tomorrow. We'll just have to wait and see. Microsoft bouncing back a little bit. Big support underneath it now. We'll see if that eventually gets taken out around the 234 level. TSM bouncing back a little bit today. They announced, of course, the beginning mass production of their most advanced chips in southern Taiwan on Thursday. And it looks like they got them a little bit of a lift. I was looking on the daily chart to see if this had filled the gap, and it did fill the gap. We were talking about this gap for a while. We talked about this gap since November 28th. Would we fill it on the backside? That was the Warren Buffett gap when he got into this one. Now we'll look to see if Warren gets a little bit more, and does it start making its way right back towards 79 and 81s? Have to wait and see. All right. What else is going on in the chat? What are you guys taking a look at? I see a bunch of dead cat bounce talk out there. Generac, definitely also one. I think that this was just seller's exhaustion. Another thing that Generac did, and it looks like they got some ratings as of late, right before the end of course, the year, they started getting some ratings. Now, one thing I would point to is this does look like it was kind of stuck in this kind of bear flag, kind of bear channel. And so we're going to look to see if we actually start holding above here. I'll look to see first 100. Does that hold? Do we get a little bit of a cut down through and then a recovery of that 100? You're slightly just above that 100 right now on the 15-minute. That just shows me that, yeah, we are trying to hold it right now, but we can do kind of that cut below and then the rally. We'll just have to wait and see what happens there in Generac. All right, catching up out there. What else is going on? Oh, the Jason Raznick favorite, Gann. Oof, can't blame him for that one. For a long time, I even liked Gann. It's not doing much, man. And the idea that no one's taking it out is interesting to me because it's really cheap now. It's down there towards 142 and just completely out of favor. You guys remember this. I know Bill will remember this in the chat. Gann was the thing behind the thing. And there's nothing wrong with that mentality, right? And so, like, you know, even though Jason got this one wrong over in the long run, the mentality is not wrong. The thing behind the thing is something to figure out, right? And one thing that we need to understand is that stories change and aspects change also in the fundamentals, right? For a while there, story was everything. Story was being driven on gambling because what? Gambling was becoming legal in a lot of states. So that was adding and adding and adding. And it was kind of an unmeasurable revenue outlook because you didn't know which states were coming online and how fast they would come online. It was more estimates, right? And how much would they make, right? Well, from that moment, we started seeing a crack in 22. This is why it's important to sometimes let go of stocks and not just drag them down by what, you know, you guys have heard Dennis talk about before, the death of 1,000 cuts, right? This is a clear example of a stock that probably has had 1,000 cuts, right? I mean, just think about it, right? I mean, how many days has it been since it started breaking here, that 13 to where we are now? We're talking 286 bars of downside action, I would say. And it doesn't look good either for like a stock like I have. I still got it. I still got a Genie, still stuck in this one a little bit. And was even thinking about cutting it here when we were in the 5. I wasn't thinking about 525s. I was thinking in going towards 5. I was like, should I cut it? Should I cut it? Didn't cut it and still in it. And sometimes we're going to learn from these moments, right? Well, the big thing there is the valuation needs to come back. They need to start meeting some of the pipeline. They need to get some of the deals. Gann needs to somehow really start getting back into favor. It's not in favor right now. Gambling isn't in favor right now. I mean, just look at DraftKings. One of the leaders, right? It made its way to 70. It's $11 now. That just shows us a lot, right? All right, we'll get out of DKNG, and that's just how it is, team. Look at Penn, right? Penn was supposed to be one of the best ones, and it's just surely just barely hanging on here to 27. And if that goes, where does Penn go after that? Well, like always, team, we always need to keep watching what happens and consider what you know, a lot of people sometimes get into this problem when they're thinking about taxes into gains like they had in Penn, gains like they had in Gann, right? There was a lot of people that had some gains but didn't take profits because they didn't want to worry about the taxes. Well, it feels a lot better to go ahead and take some profits, pay some taxes, then do some tax loss harvesting here as you may be holding on to a loser, right? Not the biggest thing we want to see. Let's go back to the SPY here. We'll take a look. Sell off at the last little bit here as we kept hitting the resistance. After the fourth try, we rejected there, team. 1 up, 1 down, 2 up, 2 down, 3 up. Couldn't do it, team. Couldn't get back through that. Now we'll look to see if we break down through it here, start coming back down. And it looks like we did get some sell imbalances there. Let me take a look here if there were buys or sell. I'm pretty sure they were to the sell side, but let me just check here right quick on my Benzinga Pro. Just give me a second, team. See what kind of imbalances I had here. 1.2 billion to the buy side. That's interesting. We'll have to wait and find out what happens in the overnight action. Any thoughts on DraftKings going into the NFL playoffs? Well, the truth is they haven't gotten the love that they need. It does make sense for me to play DraftKings when the NFL season starts. But when we get into the playoff time, it's not going to be that high. I think there's more betting at the beginning of the NFL than at the end of the NFL. But to each his own, right? We'll see if DraftKings can actually get moving. Maybe some of these growth stocks actually move. Did see someone mention View. Ooh, View. Very classic stock like that. You could get stuck in it. A lot of us can get stuck in things like that. I think it's always important to learn from moments, right? We're not going to always be perfect. As investors that make our own investing decisions, we're going to be wrong sometimes. The biggest thing is understanding when we're wrong, why we were wrong, and what we can do to be better. All right, team. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Pre-market prep. Don't miss it. The last trading day of the year. Hope you guys enjoyed everything that we did today. I know that we've had less shows. We'll be back on with a full schedule next week. Don't miss it, team. Live trading will be back. We'll definitely be getting after it. Hit the thumbs up. MSOS, what changed? Interesting. A little bit of a little pop there towards the close. We'll end up finding out. Change agent. I'll definitely look in to see what's going on in the cannabis industry. Hope you guys had a good show today. Appreciated me getting a little bit deeper into what's going on to EVs into 23. Did a little bit of research. Hope you guys appreciated that. Hit the thumbs up. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., bright and early. Like always, team, keep working on those skills. Let's think about what do we need to improve on in the next year, right? Is it understanding tape reading? Is it intermarket analysis? Is it just diving into a certain industry and becoming an expert at, let's say, like autos, like we covered today? Well, it's always important to understand the areas that you're going to trade. And that's why you see me try to cover so many and vast different areas, because I do trade a lot of different stocks and I want to be on top just like you guys. Hit the thumbs up. I'll see you guys bright and early. Pre-market prep. Don't miss it, team. Let's keep battling.